So the Eldar Autarch has got an extensive new datasheet to reflect all the nice new options. We've got a bunch of new profiles for several weapons, and also one of the most powerful looking little upgrades that I've seen on a character in a long time. I think that the Banshee masks are going to be popular. Hello and welcome back to Warspec Tactics, where today we're talking Eldar once more, and this time we're reviewing an actual official datasheet released by Games Workshop. These are the new rules for the Autarch that were released in that Eldritch Omens box set, a whole new datasheet with some really interesting buffs and abilities, and I feel like these guys might be a bit more relevant for Eldar in the future. Perhaps the biggest highlights are a new profile for Death Spinners that we've not seen yet, a fun rule to allow you to use multiple command rerolls per turn, an absolute godly looking Banshee mask that both debuffs enemy melee and also makes them fight last all the time, and perhaps a slightly unpleasant surprise, meaning that it looks like you can't mix and match the new and old Autarch options, which I think is kind of an annoying move on Games Workshop's part. Currently in 8th and 9th edition, Autarchs really aren't the most popular for Eldar HQs. I think they'd certainly see a fair bit of play if Farseers didn't exist, but with Farseers and Warlocks both currently in the HQ section, it means that Autarchs just generally aren't worth considering too much until you've got the most powerful psychic powers in the army. Even when they're tooled up, they aren't really quite as fighty as a lot of characters in 9th edition now, but I will be quite surprised if they don't get to be a lot more threatening in the new codex. They've got the option of really quite a lot of fun new gear, and it seems likely that they'll get some better warlord traits and relics to support them, similar to their Dark Mirror in the Drukhari Archons. In any case, let's take a look over their datasheet and talk about what we've got. So first up, the Eldar Autarch is an HQ choice for Codex Eldari, rumoured to be 80 points base in the new book, so that will be the same as they are currently. I don't know whether Games Workshop are going to publish some points costs digitally to go alongside Eldritch Omens. I guess they might just hold off until the actual Codex releases, which I'm sure won't be too far away. His stat line hasn't really changed since the previous incarnation, a 7-inch move, hitting on 2s, strength and toughness 3, 5 wounds, 4 attacks, leadership 9, a 3+ save and a 4+ invul. He's got all the keywords that you'd expect, an infantry character with the Craft World keyword. This time I thought we'd take a look at his special rules first before going through into Wargear. First up, like the vast majority of the Eldar Codex, he has both Battle Focus and Strands of Fate. I think Battle Focus in particular is kind of interesting on a character with an aura buff. You could potentially have the units around him re-rolling 1s, and then use the extra movement that he gets from Battle Focus to move next to some other units, and then allow them to re-roll 1s as well. Could be relevant with the extra movement of the Warp Jump generator, as we'll see in a second. For Strands of Fate, I'm sure some automatic saves or automatic charges really won't hurt. I guess particularly if fighty Autarchs do become useful. Being able to lock in some automatic saves as well as have command re-rolls to save further ones really could keep him alive quite well. His Path of Command ability hasn't really changed too much. It still gives you your standard captain style re-roll 1s to hit aura, though now, as expected, it is only limited to core units, so he's likely not going to be able to buff any Eldar gunline vehicles now. Still though, very useful. Should be solid alongside Aspects, Guardians, and the Wraith Guard and the Wraith Blades. Finally, he's gained a really interesting special rule called Superlative Strategist, though it does appear that this one might well have replaced his command point farming ability. Previously, Autarchs will allow you to regenerate command points on a roll of a 6. Now it looks like it's actually going to give you a way to spend command points even faster, as when the Autarch is on the battlefield, you can now use the command reroll stratagem twice in one phase instead of once. That's really quite an interesting and potentially powerful buff there. Maybe a little situational depending on exactly what rolls come up, but I feel that could be decently powerful both on the offense and the defense. Say if you got multiple d6 damage rolls of 1 within one phase, or being able to reroll 2 different saving throws per turn could make a 4+ invul save model ridiculously tanky, maybe that Avatar of Cain for example. Could also be really good for multiple charge rerolls as well. That could be very relevant if you're trying to get troops into combat out of the webway. I think it's really quite a fun and unique command boost rule. I feel that if you both have an Autarch and Strands of Fate in play, you're going to be able to do really quite a lot to manipulate dice rolls as an Eldar. Moving on though, and let's take a look at the various different loadout options that the Autarch can get. I must admit I was a little bit surprised and disappointed that the bullet pointed options kind of railroad you into 2 different routes. Either you take the more inflexible loadout for the Autarch, which is the one that you can see on the right here. This one represents the other plastic Autarch kit that you can get at the moment, the one with the power sword, fusion pistol and swooping hawk wings, or you can take all of the things from the new kit. When Games Workshop unveiled the kits, they did mention that you could mix and match between the two. Apparently the kits have been specifically designed so you can do so, and yet in terms of the actual model rules, if you do choose to mix and match between the two kits, then you're going to create an illegal Autarch build that you can't even field. What's more, unless they rewrite the Autarch datasheet differently to this one in Eldritch Omens, then you aren't even allowed to recreate the Autarch that's on the front cover of Codex Eldari itself, as that one's armed with swooping hawk wings, a Reaper launcher, and a Starglaive. It just seems a bit of a silly situation, really. In any case, that small gripe aside, if you do choose to give the Autarch the old kit style loadout, then it's rumoured to cost plus 25 points according to the playtester codex, though of course that could change in the final version. The Wargear changes do seem to largely confirm the various leaks that we've been getting about Aspect Warrior kit. The Banshee Blade is plus 1 strength and AP minus 4 now. The Fusion Pistol remains unchanged. Manta Blasters do give you 6s to wound, causing 1 mortal wound against non-vehicle units. That one does seem a bit more relevant on the striking Scorpions themselves, as opposed to the Autarch who's only going to be getting 4 or 5 attacks. And the Swooping Hawk Wings do give you 14-inch movement and fly. It still seems like a generically useful build, but I must admit I think I do prefer the more flexible mix and match option that we have below. First up, in terms of melee weapons, we either have the Starglaive or the Scorpion Chainsword. The Starglaive seems by far a better weapon, giving you strength times 2, AP minus 3 and damage 2. It's still going to suffer against minus 1 damage enemies, but that should cut through elite infantry pretty well and even threaten light vehicles. It does seem pretty much flatly better than the Scorpion Chainsword, which is the same as we'd seen rumoured on the Striking Scorpions, strength plus 2, AP minus 1 and damage 1. It does grant you an extra attack, but I'm going to guess that it must be cheaper than the Starglaive, as otherwise the two will be really badly balanced. To go alongside that Starglaive, you either have the option of the Dragon Fusion Gun, Death Spinner, Reaper Launcher or Shuriken Pistol. The Dragon Fusion Gun is a seriously potent anti-tank weapon, rumoured to be 15 points extra. A single shot at strength 9, AP minus 4, damage d6 plus 2, or go into d6 plus 4 if you're within half range. The Death Spinner's a profile that I hadn't seen yet. It seems like this is what Warp Spiders will be armed with in the new codex. The Death Spinner's rumoured to be plus 10 points, 12 inches and assault d6 auto hits at strength 6, AP minus 2 and damage 1. It also has the blast keyword on top of that, so it is going to be super effective against hordes. I think for 10 points that seems like a real deal, to be honest. Significantly better than a Space Marine Heavy Flamer. It seems almost guaranteed to stack some damage on just about any target that's toughness 5 or less. Next we have the Reaper Launcher, also rumoured to be plus 15, 48 inches and the same dual profiles that it has before. It seems that Dark Reapers aren't going to be getting massive stat buffs to their core weapons at least. I guess they were already one of the Aspect Warriors that tended to work quite well. Otherwise there's the option just to keep the Autarch cheap and fighty with the Shuriken Pistol. For me though, I think that one of those is likely going to be worth it for the points cost upgrade. Death Spinner or Fusion Gun if you're moving up close, or perhaps Reaper Launcher if you're going to be a bit more of a backfield buffing unit. Finally though is perhaps one of the most exciting bits of kit on the entire model, and that's the spectacularly powerful looking Banshee Mask. I'm not sure exactly what this is going to cost as an upgrade, but it looks absolutely godly. First of all, it keeps the Autarch completely safe as he charges in, no overwatch or set to defend. It means that you could use him to soak overwatch for other fragile charges nearby. Then enemy units within 1 inches subtract 1 from their attacks characteristic, so he makes his opponents significantly weaker at fighting. And then last and most powerfully at all, anything within engagement range fights last. Unlike the leaked Howling Banshees datasheet, there's no requirement for an Autarch to have charged in to activate this. It's just a flat fights last benefit for anyone within engagement range, which is just stupidly powerful at defending other Eldar units, and really quite helpful that your charges go to plan as well, keeping your units safe from the 2 command point combat interruption stratagem. For me, unless the Banshee Mask costs an absolutely crazy amount of points, then it seems likely to be an auto-include option. That's a single piece of war gear that basically seems more effective than a whole load of combat buffing relics in quite a few codexes. The fact that it comes packaged with no overwatch and -1 attacks is just ridiculous. Finally, we're not quite done yet though, as the new Autarch kit comes with the option of a warp jump generator, granting him a 12-inch move, the ability to move through other models, a warp strike deployment option which I'm going to imagine is a basic deep strike one, and then finally, and perhaps the most interesting bit, is that it allows you the option of making a 2d6-inch battle focus move, so if you aren't charging you can gain a serious amount of mobility, potentially get those reroll ones to another part of the battlefield where they're badly needed. This looks really interesting for the Warp Spiders, who I'm going to guess are going to have the exact same rule as this. That means that they'll be back to their old jump shoot jump shenanigans with a vengeance. popping out, firing off a bunch of those nasty death spinner shots, and then averaging a really quite decent fallback move to keep them safe. Overall, I think that something like a Banshee Mask, Warp Jump Generator, Starglaive, and one of the shooting weapons does look like it could be a pricey but incredibly effective leader option. Good movement, solid melee, powerful shooting, and automatic fights last seems like it's a really powerful combo of different abilities, and looks like it could work really well with some of the fighty aspect warriors. I'm sure there'll be some other nasty options with things like relics and warlord traits as well, to pile on the melee power. In any case, let me know what you think of the new Autarch then. Might it be an option that finally sees some play alongside Farseers for once? Or if the best combos cost 120 points plus, is it still going to be too much for a fairly fragile character? If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe to Auspex Tactics, where we'll certainly keep the regular 40k videos coming. I do tend to have new ones out just about every day. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on the channel, I would just like to mention that Auspex Tactics does have a Patreon page, which you can find down in the video description below. The channel's Patreon is what allows me to keep on making these videos quite so regularly, so if you are watching quite a lot, any support is enormously appreciated. I do try and give channel patrons some decent rewards, including seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, then the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.